The Philippines is one of the world's most disaster-prone countries. It is no stranger to earthquakes due to its location along the Pacific Ocean rings of fire and 5 major fault lines. One of its most memorable seismic events was the powerful quake that struck the island of Luzon in 1990, resulting in a number of collapsed buildings, $369 million in damages, and the deaths of 2,412 people. The massive 7.7 magnitude earthquake that struck Luzon Island in the Philippines on July 16, 1990, wreaked havoc across a large portion of the country's largest island, with Baguio City bearing the brunt of the damage. The epicenter of the quake, which struck at 4:26 p.m., was in the Nueva province north of Manila. According to reports, the shaking lasted nearly a minute. All the stampedes of people fleeing multi-story buildings injured many people. The main cause of damage and death was collapsing buildings.
What caused the disaster? The event was caused by strike-slip movement along the Philippine Fault and the Digdig Fault, both of which are part of the Philippine Fault system. The epicenter of the earthquake was near Rizal, Nueva Ecija, northeast of Cabanatuan City.
When and where exactly did the natural event originate? Areas affected: Central Luzon, National Capital, Tsunami, Eastern Seaboard of Luzon. Local date: July 16, 1990. The epicenter of the quake, which struck at 4:26 p.m., was in the Nueva Ecija province, north of Manila. According to reports, the shaking lasted nearly a minute.
How extensive was the area affected? On July 16, 1990, a 7.7 magnitude earthquake with an epicenter near Rizal City struck Luzon, killing 1,666 people and causing extensive damage. PVOX classified the quake as a multiple shock quake with 2 major epicenters along the Philippines and Digdig Fault.
Was the cause of the disaster forecasted or predicted? Were there warnings used? How did the people react to the warning? The event was caused by strike-slip movements along the Philippine Fault and the Digdig Fault, both of which are part of the Philippine Fault system. According to Renato Solidum, the 1990 earthquake taught 4 important lessons. The public must respond appropriately during earthquakes. Hazard and their consequences should be modeled. Building codes must be strictly enforced. Furthermore, land use should be carefully planned.
How many lives were lost? How many were injured and missing? Can the loss of lives be quantified in terms of peso or dollars? The disaster's cause could not be predicted or forecasted, because no one, not even PVOX, can predict when and where an earthquake will strike, let alone how strong it will be. According to Andro Manila representatives, the tremor damaged several buildings in Metro Manila, Cabanatuan City, and Baguio City. There were 191 confirmed deaths and 568 injuries as a result of this.
What could have prevented the loss of many lives? We cannot prevent natural earthquakes from occurring, but we can significantly reduce their effects by identifying hazards, constructing safer structures, and providing earthquake safety education. We can reduce the risk of human-caused earthquakes by preparing for natural earthquakes.
What was the resulting damage as a percent of GNP for the year the disaster happened? This represents a loss of more than 5% on the gross national product of $28.6 billion in 1990. The earthquake and eruption directly affected nearly 3 million people in various ways, bringing the economy of Central Luzon, which accounts for 60% of Philippine production, to halt.
Did the disaster affect the performance of the country's economy year after it happened? Then how? During the period 1992 to 1996, the earthquake and eruption-related production losses in various sectors of the economy are likely to exceed $2 billion. The total cost of reconstruction and rehabilitation is extended to be more than $5 billion. Then 9.2, the damage caused by the 1990 Luzon earthquake.
How much did the country spend for rescue, relief, and rehabilitation works? $291,545 rescue and relief. The total cost of reconstruction and rehabilitation is estimated to more than $5 billion. 9.2.
What particular loss or damage cannot be recovered or repaired? One of its most memorable seismic events was the powerful quake that struck the island of Luzon in 1990, resulting in a number of collapsed buildings, $369 million in damage, and the deaths of 2,412 people.
How justified are pre-disaster measures and expenditures? Including earthquake-resistant features in all high-risk structures, making all public utilities earthquake-resistant, such as water supply systems, communication networks, and power lines. Alternative plans are being developed to minimize damage to infrastructure facilities.
All of the measures and budget that went into the government's pre-disaster plans are justified. Furthermore, the presence of well-funded disaster mitigation plans should be prioritized not only the national level but also the local level.
While prevention, mitigation, and preparedness are pre-disaster activities aimed at reducing human and property losses caused by a potential hazard, response, recovery, and reconstruction are post-disaster initiatives aimed at achieving early recovery.